So here's the formula for making more money in your business. That's influence plus visibility. Yes, there's a formula. And, part of the issue is finding out how to change through these challenging times and also, of course, remain true to who you are. On this episode of La Dolce Vita, the formula for fabulous living, I'm doing a very special series called the Female Thought Leader Virtual Lounge, where I'm inviting some of the most inspiring thought leaders around the world that have the answers to your most pressing questions about what's going on. How do I handle and deal with the change and the challenges in the world and still manage my business? So you want to stay tuned for this next episode. Frankie Lee, dimmi, qual è senso della vita?
The meaning of life is to live la dolce vita, which is the formula for fabulous living.
Hi, my name is Heather Picken, and welcome to the La Dolce Vita show, the formula for fabulous living. I'm the catalyst in helping you to be more confident, create your dream business, and attract elite clients and live a fabulous life. Here's Heather helping you to upgrade your life to
fabulous. Upgrade your life to fabulous. Right, Frankie? You're fabulous.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of La Dolce Vita, the formula for fabulous living. And this is actually a very special series, which I'm calling the Female Thought Leader Virtual Lounge. Yes, we're having a virtual thought leader lounge with experts around the world that are really going to give you the information that you need to empower yourself in your business and in your life. And one of the reasons why I wanted to have this Thought Leader Lounge is that, we're living, I think, in an interesting time where things are changing. The world is changing. Some may perceive it to be a little bit scary, but I'm here to tell you, as a leader, you can really awaken, who you are and lead other people. And you don't have to be afraid, because a leader knows where they're going. They know who they are, and they want to help other people. And I brought on my guest today, one of my guests, Joie Gharrity. So Joie, thank you so much for being my guest.
Thank you for having me, Heather.
Yeah, and I think this is a really important topic. I know we're going to talk about visibility and an influencer, being an influencer, which I think is so important. But before we get into that, can you share with our listeners and our viewers a little bit about your background and what you do?
Sure. So I worked in Hollywood entertainment business for 15 plus years at top studios like Sony Pictures and ABC. And I worked on like blockbuster movies all the way to TV, and then did the first multimedia startup for the Walt Disney Company. I was one of 6. And it was really an interesting time because I got thrown in the deep end of the pool in the whole internet scene and how it was going to change the fabric, literally, of the global world. And then I decided to open up my own company, 113 Branding, and I work with primarily women entrepreneurs. I work with men too, but primarily women entrepreneurs to help them get more visible and influential in the marketplace.
I love that. And I love your experience that you bring to the table. How exciting in helping women entrepreneurs. And let's talk about this idea of being an influencer, because, now more than ever, we need someone to be a leader in business, especially what's going on in the world today. We could be easily influenced by the wrong people. So what is your definition of being a powerful influencer?
To be of service. And I think that there is a bit of a confusion, I believe, that's going out there in the marketplace, because there's a big difference between being in service to the institute, the bigger institute, and being of service. And I believe that the leadership of being of service is an equal exchange of energies. So to get away from the unbalance of power And that has been a dominating theme for a very long time, especially in bigger brands and corporations, and even in the political scene. So right now we're seeing leaders are emerging, and they're saying, listen, let's be of service, and let's be an equal exchange of energies. And then let's push this balance of power. Let's get that to the side. But the only way to do that is to shine a very, very bright spotlight on it and bring it to the attention.
I love that, because if you look at big corporations that have failed, it was always due to being too patriarchal, right? And anytime that you have like an imbalance in power, things are going to crumble. So I really feel today we're living in a time where there is more of a balance. We actually need both sides. We need the patriarchal and matriarchal in order to really be able to evolve in the business world, or just evolve in general. And I like how you are saying, we are living in this different time. Things are changing. And what are some of the things that you feel are necessary, like you being a leader and helping other women entrepreneurs, that is like maybe one of the most critical factors that they can do in their business?
Well, I mean, something that's come up for me and inside of my own brand is me making a choice of what type of leader I was going to be moving forward. And what I think is happening out there, not all the time, but there can be, especially for women leaders, is it's called the likable leader. So always wanting to be liked, always wanting to not rock the boat too much because it will impact, it might hurt people's feelings. So I had to make a choice for myself and say, I'm going to move the likable leader to the side. That being a likable leader, I don't believe you can really actually build an empire off of being a likable leader. I think that it actually hurts women's businesses out there. And instead, I want to be an inspirational leader who stands in her own spotlight with her own unique point of view. And I'm always encouraging my clients, spread the word about your unique point of view. And you have to move that fear factor to the side of, oh, am I going to rock the boat? Because yes, you will rock the boat. That's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing to rock the boat. It's a good thing to rock the boat.
I love what you're saying. And it's so true. Not everyone's going to like you. I remember the moment in my business, this was years ago, where I sent out an email and I was getting the haters. They didn't like what I was sharing with them. Yeah. And I took it so personally. I mean, now I really don't care because, I am who I am. And I remember giving a talk just recently, and they give the people in the audience fill out a form. Almost everyone loved my presentation, but there was a few people, oh, she's this or she's that. And I'm like, oh my gosh. But at the same time, I realized I don't have to be in the business of, people pleasing, and a leader shouldn't, because we all have different ways of how we see the world. And like you said, I love that about bringing your own uniqueness to the marketplace.
Yeah, I think, listen, it's not easy breezy, sister. And you and I both know this, it's like you have to get a thick skin. But when you try to stay in the likable zone, I don't know if it's possible to build a thriving, sustainable business after a while, because it becomes very numb in the marketplace. How are they going to know to trust you? How are they going to know? Listen, Heather, anyone that knows you knows, what, I can trust Heather because you always bring it. You tell people, this is my unique point of view. Dig it or don't dig it. You know what I'm saying? Either way, but this is still my unique point of view, right? That is something to be very trustworthy of. It doesn't mean everyone has to agree with it, right? But I feel like the likable leader zone is that it's something that happens very young, especially to women, because of the signals that are being sent out in the marketplace around what last name you're born into, how much money you're born into, all these different signals that we're being taught very young. And if you're not born to the quote unquote right last name, how are people going to like you, right? So it becomes a very natural, organic process to fall into the likable leader category, but in the long run, it will hurt you and it will hurt the business.
Yeah, it's so true. So listen up, women. It's okay if not everyone likes you.
Get a thick skin.
Back to, I was thinking about this the other day. I was talking to my boyfriend about this, about being bullied when I was like in 5th grade. I was an exchange student and went over to France, and we had to go to, our school had to go to this other school that was teaching French. And I'll never forget it. It was out of the scene of Mean Girls, where a group of girls in the classroom said, oh, write on a piece of paper, Shelley Cananan is a wimp. And when you're in 5th grade, you're like, you have no idea what's going on. And so I did it. And then what happened is during recess time, the girl came up to me and she's like, how much of a wimp do you think I am? She pushes me and I am freaking out. I'm hating it. But I look back at my life, how it was then and where I am now. And I'm so glad I actually experienced that, because I think sometimes we can shelter kids or people, and then they grow up being so afraid and vulnerable to put themselves out there. But I think it's necessary to get people to reject you.
Well, it's interesting too. I had a really close friend of mine who's a leader, and she sent me a excerpt out of an article that she read. And what it said basically in it was, it's only from the lessons, the negative lessons, is how you're going to emerge as the greatness that you're born to be. And that really sat with me. And then you're sharing the story and it's in complete alignment. I'm like, yes, it's so true. It's like we almost have to be bullied. We almost have to be pushed around in order to sit back and say, no matter what, I have to stand in this. I was just down in Long Beach and at the Women's California Conference, and there was something that was really conflicting for me there. And it was that there were so many men on stage. And it was a women's conference. And I was doing some media down there, and I went to Karen, who we were co-hosting a show with, and I told her, I said, I got a really hot topic I want to talk about, but it's probably not going to be the most popular topic we can talk about. And she said, we have to. And that's when I realized the difference between being a likable leader and being a leader that inspires, is you have to put your flag in the ground. And then you just got to step back, and there will be casualties.
Yes.
It just will. You will get hurt along the way. There's going to be people that you will not be popular with, right? But on the flip side of it, how is anyone going to hook into you and your brand if you're always going to be the likable, numb area? Right? How long is that going to last? It won't sustain you after a while.
It's so true, because I look at the evolution of my business, and I would just take on some crappy clients. And it was just so draining for my energy. And I made it promise. Number one, I was valuing myself more, awakening my leadership skills and abilities, and, just not tolerating those types of clients. And therefore, today I work with some extraordinary clients all around the world that are my elite clients. So to me, I feel it's like you've got to step up into a mindset that evolves as a leader, and not tolerate, those clients, just take them on because, you need money. At the time, I really needed money. Now, today, I can choose who I want to work with. So could you speak to that about really, as a leader, like really being able to only work with those clients that are truly inspiring to you as well?
Yeah, so I think it really comes down to, I read your story around that, and I thought it was an excellent share. And it was really, it comes down to, and the way I look at it is about vibration. So, there was a trend there for a while of like, niching yourself out. And I was like, that is baloney. That doesn't make sense to me. Instead, I've written down my qualities that I'm looking for in a client. And I won't accept anything less. Right? Because the only person who will be disappointed is you. And an unhappy entrepreneur literally can close their doors almost overnight. I tell my clients all the time, I say, you have to stay happy. Even if at the time you're like, yeah, but that's a huge deal. I'm like, but that deal could close your doors for life.
Yes.
And you'll have to go get a job. And then you're really not going to be happy.
That's so true. And I like the point that you brought up about not trying to niche yourself. I got into that box before. And what was really interesting, because before I was like, well, I'm only going to work with coaches. And I started to attract all different types of industries, realtors, mortgage lenders, CEOs, different businesses. And I thought, why put myself in a box? So I'm glad that you spoke about that, like being true. I'm all about being true to who you are. When you know who you are and you know what your unique perspective is, that's when you can really help people.
Yeah, it's really, to me, it's about qualities. I like my top 3 qualities is that a client's willing to jump cliffs. Like that they truly want success now. They want to be a superstar in their field. Those are my 3 top qualities. Like if you don't fit in there, I'm like, you don't want to work with me. Because what I realized too is out of integrity to work with people that didn't fit the qualities. Because they were getting this visibility influence, and maybe in the back of their head, they're like, I thought we were just going to work on logos together. I'm like, I don't even do logos. I could care less about logos.
Exactly.
I just want you to be a superstar, So it was out of integrity. And that's what I want to share with the audience out there. Be in integrity, because you could be serving something up to someone where they don't want it. And it could really shake them to their core. You can imagine if someone was thinking, oh, I thought we were just going to get a logo, and then I'm helping them become a superstar. They were just like, they were falling apart internally, right? So that's why it's so important to really identify these qualities for yourself.
Yeah, I love that, because would you agree it's so much easier to work with someone that aspires to have a lot of influence and visibility, like they're just so ready and they're just like, show me how to do it. Whereas you try to work with someone that has all of these issues around putting themselves out there, just trying to get it together in their business. And it's really challenging. Like I let go of just trying to work with those types of people, because I'm more inspired working with people going, hey, I just want to change, I want to be a game changer. Would you agree?
I would, because it's exhausting.
Yes.
Right? I made a decision last year that I wasn't going up the mountain anymore. Like I was not going up, wasn't pulling one more person up the mountain. I was just like, listen, I'm here at the top of the mountain. If you want this, you can get there, but I'm not going to pull you up at the mountain, because it's not fair. It causes too much conflict. And again, it was making me unhappy. And I was just like, and this again is, I know for the audience out there, they might think that this is really simple, but it's not. Yes. It is very deep. It can literally close your doors. And I've had many entrepreneurs come to me and say, I don't know why I closed my doors. And I was just like, did you take a look at the clients that you were working with? Well, I needed the money. I was just like, but now you don't have a company. Like you don't have a brand, so it is a little bit of catch-22, but going this way is definitely, it's a better decision.
Yeah, it's kind of like a cancer in your business. So you might as well get rid of the cancer so that you can be healthier in your business and feel fulfilled, because to me, that's what it's all about. You have to drag people into your business. Guess what? You're going to have to drag them around. And I learned that lesson. I mean, the biggest lessons, that you can imagine learning, I've learned them. I'm sure you have too. So yes. Let's kind of switch gears here and talk about, navigating around, I like to say perceived challenging times, because we can look back at history, look at the Depression, and realize that, wait a minute, half of the Fortune 500 companies were created. We got through that. We're going through some interesting times today. And, because we're so connected with technology and it's going faster, what I see going on is people are being highly polarized by the media and everything that's going out there, instead of really focusing on what they need to be doing for themselves in their mission, their message, and their purpose. So what advice would you share with people out there that are kind of feeling anxious about all the changes and the challenges?
Yeah, so what I just shared this at my annual event, and what I was talking about is those are just distractions. So you really have to identify the distractions for yourself. And once you identify those distractions, that's the only way that you can quiet them, and then you can push them to the side. So a distraction, for instance, would be watching endless news, right? That is a distraction. But what it's really is that it's a way of us staying away from standing in our own, what I call it factor. It's a way of us not owning and embracing our greatness. So every human globally has distractions. It's just a matter of identifying them and then limiting to them and quieting them as much as you can. And it does take some discipline around that. So I encourage people to do that. I really do. One of my distractions is I love movies. Like I would watch movies 24 hours a day, 7 days a week if I could. And so I've had to limit my movie time. And it wasn't easy at first. And I know that seems simple, but it wasn't. It was very empowering because I was just like, I need to be disciplined about this because it's taken away from what I should be working on right now, which is working on building the brand and the business. It's just a distraction. That's all it is, nothing more.
Well, I remember binge watching on Netflix. That's dangerous.
Oh,
And I cut it
I
out.
love doing that.
I'm like, okay, this is great, but I'm not getting anything from it. So I actually go the opposite route. Instead of watching any series, I'll watch a movie that I feel is inspiring and then being able to share that as a lesson for everyone else. So I really am careful in what I'm watching.
Well, right, because it's the distraction of getting caught up in things for hours at a time. This is what some of the big powers that be want for community. They want us to be distracted. They want us to overeat. They want us to, not be healthy. They want us not to exercise. They want certain things because it keeps us in the fear factor and not building up from our core strength from within inside. That's the whole point. That's why they're bombarding us with media 24 hours a day, is they want to distract us.
It's so true because I have this conversation with like my boyfriend all the time or just other, thought leaders such as yourself. And really, come on, we are smarter as a generation. We're smarter. And it's time to wake up and own your power around this and not allow it to drive, the fear. There's always the checks and balances in the universe of what happens. And I know for myself, when I feel or perceive that there's a highly polarized event, I will balance my mind by seeing the wisdom and saying, you know what, there's something or someone going to balance it out. And I am not going to get caught up in the drama or participate in the drama, because if you're trying to rally, let's just say for peace, you can't have peace without war. So you might as well focus on your message, your mission, your influence, your visibility, which takes me to the question of what do you think are some of the key things in putting your message out there for visibility so that you can become an influencer?
Well, the one key component that I talk a lot about is the signals that you're putting out in the marketplace. And I know you talk about this as well, Heather, and that's why we were very like-minded, is that what signal you're putting out in the marketplace is directly linked to your brand earning power. So I always ask people to get quiet for a second and to be authentic. If they're sending out a signal of, I'm so exhausted, I don't want to do this anymore, I can't work with another unideal client, that's what's going to happen to the brand in the marketplace. But instead, if they can turn their signal around to, I can't wait to meet my next client, I know it's going to be my ideal client, that is a way where you can start turning things around. And it will actually show up in other ways in terms of your marketing campaigns. I call them campaigns. But by introducing marketing pieces into a campaign that you're consistent with, you want to be sharing your signal all the time. And you want that signal to be very clear so that you make sure you're bringing in your ideal client and that you're creating a safe vessel for yourself. So one of my signals I send out all the time is that your brand influence and visibility marketplace is directly linked to your earning power. That's a signal I'm sending out there. I'm telling people, guys, this is truth. And if you feel like you're not making enough earning power, work with me, because we got to shift that visibility and influence out there, right? So it's really about being consistent and clearly. And here's the real key component that I learned in Hollywood is that your marketing campaign is literally like the opening to your TV show, and you want to use it primarily for life. See, down in Hollywood, we would have a hit TV show going on, and we'd have a new executive come to us and he'd say, oh, you know what? I think we should change the opening TV show. And we're like, do you want the TV show now to bomb? Because it will. And they're like, no, the marketplace has been running for 5 years. The marketplace is sick of it. I'm like, no, they're in love with it. It's something that they're actually they look forward to that opening of the TV show, right? And sure enough, if they change the opening, it would directly impact the show, right? So looking at marketing in the same way, what is the opening to your TV show? And don't change it all the time. Don't change it every year, every season, or every couple of years. You want people to recognize the opening TV and go, oh, there's Joey, there's Heather, I better stop and listen, because they're now familiar with the opening to our show.
Right. I love that. I love that. And just, it sounds like, part of it's just being true to you, who you are, and not allowing like the external noise or voices, telling you, hey, you got to do this because this is what the marketplace is saying that you should do. Like, for example, if someone says, oh no, you got to do webinars because it's the only way you're going to get clients. And I think that's just ridiculous, because there's lots of different ways that you can attract and convert, your elite paying clients, right? So really being true to who you are and your brand.
Right. Don't just follow the trends, but more importantly, be clear about the signal, or I call it the song you're putting out in the marketplace. Be clear about your song and then lay that out. And then it's for life. It's for I beg my clients not to change your marketing. I'm like, don't ever change your marketing, because your song is in it, which is so clearly the signal. And people out there are just like falling deeper and deeper in love with you because it's so consistent. It's so familiar. And that's where you want to get. You want to become, that's the real spot, is you want to become that familiarity with people. Because that's where the real trust factor starts kicking in.
That's true, because I remember coming across someone that I knew, and like every month she was changing like what she was doing. And I'm like, I'm really confused. And what you were saying, people don't trust you because you keep changing. It's kind of like you're in a relationship and you keep changing your mind. Well, I want to be with you. Well, maybe I don't want to be with you. Right. How can you trust the other person?
Yeah, exactly. It really is a signal that we're sending out in the marketplace. And when people are taking right and lefts, that's just sabotage. That literally is just sabotage. That's just haven't you seen brands out there and they're just killing it. They're getting at the top of the game, and all of a sudden they burn the whole brand down, like almost overnight, like just burn it down. Right. I call it red horses, and red horses are just like, oh, they say things like, well, it was boring me. And I'm like, that's just your inner sabotage, sisters and brothers. And they want you to get bored. They want you to burn your brand down. And then you have to start all over.
Right. Yeah. It's so true. Like, I can look at like a brand like ketchup. They haven't changed their label.
No.
They're the same
Coke
product.
hasn't changed. When Coca-Cola came out with their new Coke, their stock plummeted. And people were angry with Coca-Cola. They literally were angry. I know. I mean, I was around when they did it, and I was sitting down with some executives, and they were telling me what happened. And I was just like, I believe you. You changed the opening to your TV show. Now you're going to have to close. They were able to pick it back up again, but they learned their lesson. They won't be doing that again. Not at that level.
I love it. And those are some great examples, just again, you have a great brand, you keep it. I actually, finally, I had applied to get my registered trademark through the government, and, they finally approved me. It was a long process. So this brand isn't going anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. And listen, if you change it tomorrow, it would upset the marketplace. It would.
Yeah.
People will take it personally.
Right. No, I'm sure. And I really want people to listen to what you're saying. You've been in Hollywood, you know all about influence and visibility and branding, and, how you should position yourself. So I really want to thank you, Joey, for being on my show and being a part of this series for female thought leaders.
I really appreciate you having me on the show, sister.
And before we leave, where can people learn more about you? And we're going to we have that in the show notes, just for those people listening on iTunes, or if you happen to be over on heatherpicken.com, you can click on, if you're watching us on the webcast, you can find the link there as well. So where can we go?
Yeah, sure. So it's 113. It's the number 113 branding.com. And also you can find me on social media under Joie Gharrity. And then I have a large Facebook group called Branding for Professional Businesswomen that they can join as well.
I love that. Well, Joey, thank you so much for being my guest.
Thank you, sister.
And I just want to close out this show, this very special series about how important it is for you to be a thought leader, an influencer in your business. If you don't think that you can, then you're exactly right. So how do you change that? Well, it starts with your mind and owning who you are, owning your true power and potential. So I highly recommend that you check out each and every one of my guests because they have something remarkable to offer. Until next time, this is Heather Picken with La Dolce Vita, the formula for fabulous living. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye. So if you found this show to be fabulous, share with your fabulous friends, rate, review, and subscribe on YouTube and iTunes. And I'll make sure I take a beatbox lesson, right? Or give my little chihuahua a bone. That's me. Fabulous.